and welcome to another episode of Coterie TV. I am Carrie White and I have the fabulous Mark Coda with us in this session, and we are bringing to you a gold nugget strategy session on Facebook and Instagram. But before we do that, I better introduce you to Mark. So Mark and I have been working together for a bit over 2 years. He's the social media partner at Coterie Hospitality. He also has his own business, which is Your Social Chef. But what's really important and gives credibility to this process is that Mark has been in and around business ownership for 14 years. So he knows what it is to start a business, maintain a business and grow a successful business. And that's something that, we make sure that we shape at Coterie, is that all of our mentors, educators and service providers have all come from starting up their own business, maintaining and having a successful business. So we can give you those real-time solutions and strategies going forward, not just reading out of a textbook or off, a napkin that we found at the bar. But Mark has also been having a very, very successful time in hospitality. He's been doing restaurant social media for 6 years now, and he has been, when I say cracking the code, he has been cracking the code, which we now, and he likes it, we call him Mark the Shark. So Mark, thank you so much for joining us on this strategy session.
No worries, Gary. I'm all excited to get started.
Yeah, and to share some really good stuff. Now,
Yes.
everyone, make sure that you have your pen and paper. Now, what we've also done is we have created a recording of this because given that we are a global company, we understand that everyone's on different time zones. Everyone has different time speeds. So we wanted to give you an opportunity to be able to watch this when convenient for you. But the other good thing is having your pen and paper. You can stop and start and go back if need be, but make sure that you take lots and lots of notes, because it's exactly what we're here to do with you today, is to share some really good insights, but also some actionable items that you can take back to your business. So why don't we get started, Mark?
Absolutely. So what is the first topic?
Yeah, so first we're going to have a look at everything that we're going to talk about at the moment is going to be like, we'll subsection this. So we'll have a look at Facebook. Now, Mark, you've been, in and around this for particularly with what is relevant to our listeners with the hospitality industry for 6 years. So let's do, before we go into some strategies, let's do a little bit of a recap to see how has Facebook, social media changed in the last 6 years to what's actually happening now.
Yes. Well, Facebook has changed dramatically through the last few years. And they changed the content that used to work. They changed their algorithm. They changed your reach. But with all these changes, we found that we are getting better results than ever. Um, and what I mean by changes, before images used to work great on Facebook, and it still does. But now Facebook has introduced video, and they're giving a much better exposure and reach for videos. So it is very important for brands to take on the video strategy on
Mm,
board
mm.
and with it, work with it, obviously the right way.
And the other thing is part, the reason why Facebook have gotten so behind video is because they're competing with YouTube.
Exactly.
And they want to, and I think the other thing is because they really, the same as when Mark Zuckerberg first started Facebook, they want it to be as social as possible. But even though they've created a platform that allows our businesses to use it for business purposes, they don't want to take that element away from, this is a social media platform. So they
Yes.
want to have that engagement. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, if my if my foot was in Mark Zuckerberg's shoes, I would be thinking the same. How can I increase my audience retention rate? How can I keep my people use the platform longer? How I can make them like it more, love it more? How can I make it more entertaining, exciting for them? So a video was a great move from Facebook, because they kind of already had the data that, YouTube is a massive platform and
Mm.
there's a massive audience there. Why don't we get in the video business? So that was a really highly successful move from Facebook so far.
And we've definitely, because everyone that's following us and working with us, so far, they know that Coterie is very much getting behind integrating video, but we're educating and showing people how they can do DIY. But we've seen these results, and this is the exciting thing I think about video, is that back before, it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to do video. You
Yeah.
had to have, videography background. You needed to have, really expensive equipment. But integrating Facebook Live and Facebook video components on the platform, the expectation of quality of video to the end user has actually relaxed a lot. And particularly with some of the live feeds that, the pixels and the quality isn't all that good, but they're loving the content and it's getting, amazing engagement, amazing reach. So that's what makes it so much more achievable and obtainable to businesses to start to integrate that video into their business
Exactly.
and their marketing strategy. Well, I think that's a nice little segue for us to go into the first aspect to, and I don't know, I think this might be actually the best part to talk about, but talking about amazing content that gives you crazy results. And what we want to do is we want to always be mindful that it needs to be snackable content, which means they can get it really quickly, absorb it really quickly, and highly shareable, because the better your content is, the more, and that's entertaining, visually interesting, content-wise, it relates to them, it's going to get shared. And when it gets shared, all of a sudden it goes out to, all of these other communities. So, Mark, this is 1,000,000,000% your domain. So talk to us about, some really exciting content and strategies that you work with, which is part of cracking the code.
Okay. Well, speaking of crazy results, maybe we should mention the results difference, um, like before and after, and how dramatic it can go off.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's a really great point, because I think we want everyone to understand so they can kind of benchmark themselves.
yeah.
So they want to understand, okay, well, this may be why we're not getting, very good results, because everyone, Mark has made that comment, Facebook is better than ever, and everyone thinks that Facebook is dying off. So yeah, Mark, can you take us through, I guess that comparison of what is still getting some struggling results and what is absolutely booming results, and what the changes have happened to content structure?
Okay. Well, a few years back, um, when we used to create a campaign, and we used to use a lot of photos, like groups of photos, and that used to be our campaign kind of thing. And if we did, sorry, if we did get results, it would go from 20 to 60 comments, or 100 likes, 20 shares, and we would think, that was amazing for us
Hmm.
to get this kind of results. Not only that, like, it did get people in the door as well.
Yeah.
So it starts with likes and comments, and then it ends up as bringing in customers. So that used to work for us, but then video happened, and when we got into video, we moved from 20 to 60 comments to, say, 1,000 plus comments, um, 700 likes, crazy amount of shares.
So let's hang on. Let's just go back to those numbers again.
Yeah, some from 20 to 60 comments to 1,000 plus comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was crazy for us.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and that's when we started using video.
Okay. Now,
That
can I just ask, I think for everyone, what should they, like, what is a healthy um, engagement number. So we know that we should be aiming for X amount of likes, X amount of comments, X amount of shares to be that barometer of knowing whether your content is starting to go into that right direction of, converting into customers. But what should our people expect? Oh, sorry, what should they be aiming for with the average likes, comments, and shares?
That's that is it is a valid question. At the same time, there are so many different components hooked to it
Yeah,
to actually bring that results. Um, and I personally think, you know, until today, even if you do get 60 comments, it will be working for you. You know that it's working for you.
yeah,
But if you wanted to go through um, the 1,000 comment mark, um, you, the difference is the content itself. Okay,
yes,
um, and what's inside that video. It doesn't make it if it's a video, you're going to go from 60 comment to 1,000
yeah,
comment.
yeah,
So we need to clarify this.
yeah, sure.
But I still believe the content of the video and the budget, like how much money you're investing. If you're investing $5 and you're expecting 1,000 comments, it's not gonna happen. If
Hmm.
you're boosting your post for $8 for this week, and you were expecting to fill up the restaurant, um, it's not gonna happen. Like it's just common sense. Like where does that happens? You pay someone $8 and you fill up the business. It doesn't happen anywhere. You know, it doesn't exist. So you you have to be realistic. Say, you know what, this is my content strategy, this is my budget, and this is what I reasonably expect what to get out of this budget. you
Yeah.
know so you have to be reasonable and at the same time a little bit more creative with your content.
Well, let's put aside the advertising component to it because we will get to that, everyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's have a look at how to create this, really exciting content. So what's an example that you have that hasn't worked? What's
um,
content
yeah,
creation that you
let's
see
do
that
it let's do it
hasn't worked?
let's do a comparison. So when we started doing videos and they started working for our clients, um, one day I was on my phone and I was scrolling down the Facebook newsfeed, and I saw this boosted video on Facebook, and it was a video of a Palmer plate sitting on the pass with the heater light focused on the plate, and the heater light is yellow. Most of the time I think it's yellow. Some of them
Yes.
might use white, but most of it that I've seen is yellow. And so they had that strong yellow light on top of the Palmer plate, and it looked like a feral plate of Palmer, that it's like a 1 week old Palmer kind of thing, that you would never ever touch this thing.
Yeah.
um, it doesn't make the Palmer plate um, ugly or ridiculous. It just was the way that they presented that dish. The lighting, the environment, and the entire strategy was so wrong. And then to take that and put it on video and then boost it, that was a big no-no. Like you meant to entice customers to come in, not to scare people away. So these people, they were scaring people away, and that was I could not believe myself. Like, why would you do something like that? But a lot of people, they don't understand it, and I can't blame them.
Absolutely. And
Yeah,
I think that that's, the important part to, to communicate here is there is still so much essence around you don't know what you don't know.
yeah, yeah,
And a lot of the time that mistakes, errors in judgment come from just, a lack of education in the process. And that's why we are very passionate about what we do, is because we're trying to educate and show a better way. So therefore people do have that flexibility and independence to do it themselves. So, I think we just want to communicate that these are common mistakes that do happen based with good intention, but they didn't have anyone around them to show them a better way, which
Yes.
therefore means that it, reduces in getting, better bang for their buck. So if we were to do a quick snapshot on this is that bad comparison, Mark, what were the mistakes that you think, just to do a rehash, what are the mistakes that you think that they made on that content creation?
Well, you sorry. The plate should have been somewhere on a table next to a window where there is natural light coming in and a
Mm-hmm.
bit of shadow. Um, that kind of good mix will give it the natural lighting to the dish, and once you put that on video, you would be able to um, stream every little element and every little detail, every little contrast and colors of the dish. That's what you, if you really, that's what was your objective. You could have done that um, successfully through that approach.
Okay.
Yes. Um,
And what about, was there anything with the actual plating of the dish that you would
well,
think that could have been a bit more enticing? Because you're absolutely right. And, us being marketers to marketers, that if any of you have actually seen billboards or advertising where burgers are almost life-size on a poster, or it's like it's a hand reaching toward you, there is consumer psychology behind that, because it's this whole thing of feeling like it is your burger, your Snickers, or, whatever it is, your, hospitality dining dish, that it wants to give that connectivity, but it also wants to make it feel that if it's going toward you, then it's going to make you hungry as well. And so it's so important that we continue to do this within our hospitality businesses, and understanding that the visual presentation is so important that it makes like it's jumping off of the plate, off of the graphic,
yeah. Well,
into your tummies.
it depends on like when it gets to Parma, you can only do so much with Parma unless you created some kind of a unique Parma special where you came up with your own Mexican version of Parmigiana, for example, and you had some tacos and sour cream and avos on top of that.
You're
Maybe,
making me hungry now.
well, maybe that would have been a little bit more interesting. Or if it was a gourmet kind of a dish of that Parma, would again it would have looked a little bit more interesting than an average kind of Parma setup. But let's go to another really good example. Um,
Okay, so we're flipping in the other direction of a good example. Yeah.
yeah, so I mean, imagine if you pulled off a strawberry waffle with Nutella spreaded around it, and you had an upside down ice cream cone on top of the waffle, with ice cream as well sitting on top of the waffle, and strawberries spreaded around the plate with edible flowers. Imagine how would that look like on video if you took your video and you just walked away around the dish, um, and you tried to put it up and boost it, or advertise it. Imagine what kind of response you would get. But then again, you must be mindful how and where you put that dish in that restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
um, Pay attention to your lighting, like what how I said before, um, a table right next to a window where there is natural light coming in, but make sure not daylight. This is not the yellow kind of sun daylight. We're looking at the uh, the just a daylight in an overcast kind of weather. That's the perfect lighting. If there is sun, stay away from the sunlight. It's not good for your photos or videos.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, because, and it's funny when you have photographers that they do find that the best lighting tends to be the overcast as well. So is there anything, let's have a look at, because one of the things that's so important to, a really solid marketing plan is getting your preparation right, getting your content strategy right. So when we have a look at these crazy, content, that this crazy post that's gone out. Have you got, like, does that waffle, have you got some numbers, attached to that got some crazy results? Because you
Well,
were talking about like 1,000 comments,
yeah.
right?
Well, here is if you want to go we use the waffle example for Mother's Day campaign, okay?
Okay.
And the objective was to fill the place on the Mother's Day, and it was a weekend, I remember. Um, and So that was the whole objective, and we didn't have much budget to work with, other than just put this campaign up and try to push it and see what can we get out of it. And because it was the idea of the dish, it was the colors of the dish, the plating, it was so interesting and exciting. It did fill up the place on a very minimal budget. Um, um, what it did, it improved retention rate. So a lot of people be like, oh, it's time to go back, it's time to go back. And it did attract a new clientele where, oh, let's go this place, let's
Yeah.
go to this place. But if you wanted to go to the 1000 plus comments kind of campaigns, um, recently we pulled off we did a campaign with the Hungarian dumplings for a client of ours, and because the the heart of the content was so unique, the plating of the dish was so unique, like no one else in Melbourne is doing it. Um, and obviously we had a real good budget to push that dish, um, and all of the sudden we reached 1000 plus comments. um, I think it was 600, 700 likes. I can't remember the exact numbers, but this campaign has filled the place for weeks and weeks, as long as we had this campaign running, and we still do have it running today. Um, and Weekends, it's been crazy. Uh, Obviously, every weekend is busy when it gets to a cafe business, but when you can improve those numbers dramatically, every cafe owner will love it, because it will improve his overall takings for that week. Um, so yes, this is the kind of takings that the results that we're talking about. Once it hits that mark, the 1000 comment plus.
And I think it's important that we clarify that whilst likes and comments and shares are nice, it doesn't put money in your till.
Exactly.
So you've got to make sure that this stuff is actually converting and bringing customers into your business. And that's why it's really important that when you're going to be creating these shareable, snackable items on your content
Keep that in
strategy,
mind.
it's got to have the biggest bit, and one of those, the gaps in business, it's got to have a call to action, because otherwise all it ends up being is theatre. So what did you put around this campaign? Let's help people understand how, you designed this campaign that, okay, yes, it was working in the favour that it was unique, but it still had it's still got momentum, it's still got retention, and it's actually bringing repeat business back. So how did you structure, that highly, snackable, shareable piece of content that has had these crazy results?
Well, first of all is um, when it gets to video or content on social media, we focus so much on the content of the video, so it doesn't have much to do with the text itself. Um,
Okay.
um, that's number one. Number two is um, what did help perhaps the campaign to work is it was a new new place that just opened up as well. There are a lot of new places that open up and they launch campaigns, but they don't get any momentum, because they
Hmm.
have, most of the time they have nothing unique to offer. Um,
So it's really about finding that unique point as well as to
yes,
what you're going
it's
to put. Yep.
massive. It's massive. It has nothing to do with the price. It has nothing to do with any discounts or any kind of promos. It has a lot to do with unique selling proposition. What is your uniqueness in the marketplace, and why would someone wants to come into your place? You know,
Versus someone else, yeah.
versus someone else. And today in Melbourne, I don't believe we have shortage of really good places. I don't honestly think that we need any more restaurants. I don't honestly think we need any more cafes. We have amazing places in Melbourne. So if you do believe that you're opening up, and you believe that you have something to unique to offer, you better have that assumption, um, hit that nail. Because that's what's going to make you or break you. It doesn't mean that you opened up a restaurant today, you are obligated to get, people are obligated to come into your place to support you out of nowhere. That's not how it works anymore. So yes, the uniqueness of the plate, of the dish, was a massive X factor. The place has just opened up, so people will be like, okay, so that looks so interesting and so exciting, and it is a new place. Why don't we go and try it? Now, once they're in there, we have no control over how you deal with these people. The experience, the overall experience for these people, what happens inside the place is
Yeah.
what's going to create retention rate, and give people ideas to come back, and so on.
So let's also have a look at, so we're getting a bit of an idea
Yes.
about the shape and colour of a campaign, but there are other elements that are really important, which is the amount of times that you post a day, the amount of time, the consistency of it as well. So because you can only get crazy results. You can't just go, right, here's one post and then all of a sudden you've got 1,000 comments. So what are some of those components? Because I definitely, and we're talking like from like here, and it's, as marketers, it's what we educate, but it's the gaps that we see, is that businesses do not understand the importance of consistency.
Yeah.
They don't understand the importance of, having that, just continuous reinforcement, because
Yeah.
there are lots and lots of other people out there, lots of other businesses, and it might not even be hospitality. We get distracted. It's a really noisy world out there. So you've got to keep that reinforcement and in front of people all the time in order for them to remember you.
Yeah.
So what are these other aspects of creating crazy results that go behind the plans that you guys
All
do?
right. What about if let's try to get, um, um, simplify the process instead of overcomplicating it for those people. If I am a chef and I own a cafe or a restaurant, the last thing I want to think, oh, is this the right timing to post? What if we make it simple for them? You know what? If you did something, interesting today, let's pick two time zones. You have 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning, or you have 7 to 8 o'clock at night. You can post anything between those times. Um, any If you had an audience already following you on Facebook, like you had like a 1,000 plus people following on Facebook, or 2,000 people plus following on Facebook, trust me, it doesn't matter what time you post on that day, as long the content that is interesting, it will go off the roof. For example, let me give you an example
Mm-hmm,
of
mm-hmm.
something that we did not boost. We posted it around, the cafe had around 2,000 plus followers. We posted a, from memory, it was a, Oreos crazy shake. It was an Oreos crazy shake, a milkshake with ice cream, topped with ice cream and Oreos, and it was look so crazy. That's why they call them crazy shakes. Um, we put this up. I think it was around 11 o'clock in the morning, which is, not a good time to post if you wanted to have an optimized post. But what happened then? Um, the post itself went viral, and it gained 132 comments without $1 of advertising. And that was because the content, the video of, and the content
Yeah.
of the thing. Yeah.
What was in it that you think captured the attention of
The
people?
Well, a lot of people been seeing a lot of shakes, like chocolate shakes, salted caramel shakes. So why don't we try to integrate things that they use on there every day? Like, a lot of people use Oreos cereal or Oreos for breakfast or whatever it is.
Gosh,
Why
I wish
don't
I
we?
could have Oreos for breakfast.
Yeah, well, why don't we try to create something uh, relevant to them on day-to-day basis and try to create something crazy out of it? And this is what this chef did. He created this crazy Oreo shake, and the next one he did was a Nutella crazy hot chocolate, which Fox FM picked it up. So um, the chef is the creative input in the kitchen. He's the
Yeah.
guy should be eating out. He should be doing research and doing all this sort of stuff to know what's trending, what's not trending. It's not you don't wait for people to tell you what to cook. You are the creative input in the business, and you should be doing your homework.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think is really important in what you just said, and I've done a lot of blogging around having a look at integrating. Well, doesn't necessarily just need to be around video, but about sharing your tips, sharing your recipes with people, with your community, because it's another way of getting inside their homes, having that retention, building that relationship. And where I'm going with that is the fact that you said this chef created something on every day. So it would have been something that resonated with them, probably created a little bit of interest and empowered them to go and do it themselves. And so everyone's like, oh my gosh, you got to go and check this out. And that's part of, people want to keep everything close to their chest, but to have that point of commonality with you as a business, whether it be, your barman, whether it be your chef, whether it be, how to get red wine stains out of a tablecloth, having that, that talking point is so important. And so I love, Mark, that you just said that this chef created something. It resonated with them. It wasn't this, this dish that you go, well, I'll never be able to make that. And could that have been a point of connectivity and viral aspect because they could relate to it?
Yes, and we find the things that works are the simplest
Yeah.
things.
And
Um,
that's really good as well, because
yes,
if it's simple for us, we're all, okay, for you and I and our audience here, our community, we are all creators. So the less complex we have to be, the easier it is to pump this stuff out.
at the same time, I should mention that, you know, um, as much as this crazy shake sounds complicated or complex, it is so easy to make, and there's
Yeah, and
countless
I think that's part of that
there's
point.
countless of YouTube videos that can show you how to make something like that. But
Mm.
some business owners will be like, oh, but if I introduce this kind of aspect to my business, then I will need someone dedicated to sit there and take care of this section, the crazy shakes section, and then obviously then that will increase my labor, that will increase that and this, and I have to buy this. So they kind of look at the side where they don't have at the side as excuses, so they don't go and do anything, and then they say, "Oh, we're quiet." Then, if the crazy shakes is not something that you like as a something to add to your business, think of what else you could add to your business or what else you could create in your kitchen today that will create excitement. And that doesn't need to add an extra person in the kitchen. There is always a way if you have the will to sit there and think, you and the chef, what you guys can create today.
The other thing doing your research and having a look at, and it doesn't mean that these items need to be on your menu and fixed, given that if you're doing it right, you're having seasonal menus, which are quarterly, but you can bring in feature items and on the basis concept that pop-up restaurants, clothing stores, that concept works because it's there and then it's gone. Or you might put an event on or in a campaign. It works because it has that law of scarcity. So it's giving, I guess, that little bit of stimulation. So what you can do is go and do your research to go, what is trending out there? And hey, if Mark is saying that this Oreo shake worked, you might not be a business that would typically, run that, but you might feature it for 2 weeks to get that boost on engagement. And I just want to say that don't be afraid to go off menu, off concept, but you're only having it there for a mere moment to create that hype and engagement, and then you go back to normal.
Yeah. So a lot of people, they're too scared of. I am a Italian restaurant. We don't do this sort of stuff. But who created the rules? Who created the rules? You are the rule maker here. You are the master of this business. If you wanted to do something relevant, you can still create something relevant with some kind of an infusion point induced to it. um, so there is always a way. We work with a lot of places, and the places that get the best return on investment is the place that they believe there is always a way and there is always something to do, and they do come up with things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, and we need to keep using this. I created a couple of years ago a hashtag creativity has no boundaries, and hospitality lends itself to zero boundaries of creativity. People want to be entertained. They want to find things that are interesting. So, Mark is just exactly saying that, is don't be afraid to go off menu, to go off concept, for a mere moment to create that hype and that experience, because once you get people in your venue, then you're capturing their, the captive audience, and you can continue to do more elements within your business, but you got to get them in there first.
Exactly.
So if we do a recap now on creating, results or content that creates crazy results, we have to, make sure that we're mapping these things out. We're putting the plan together, doing the research. But Mark, as you've said, Facebook is definitely for hospitality. It's a platform that is better than ever, but Facebook, understanding what they want, is going to then help you connect with what you can get out of it. So video is definitely where Facebook's going, because they want to have that engagement and retention, but they want to have this social platform. And now that they've created this advertising component, they just don't want to have all of this, people just shoving things in front of your face, because it's a social platform. So therefore, video is very much the aspect that's going to need to be integrated into your business to get those results. Yeah. Can we do a recap on a content structure quickly, Mark?
Well, it needs to be a video to get massive results. Better lighting, natural lighting, right next to a window where there is table where you can put the dish and get a bit of shadow and a bit of the natural light on top of that dish. You can use as simple as your phone video. It will, as long as your phone is recent and it can take good videos. Usually the time is around 11 o'clock. You'll catch the best
11 a.m. that is
11 a.m. sorry, yeah, 11 a.m. and you can catch the natural lighting. And the whole idea is, what are you showcasing? The lighting, the phone, the video is just the technical side of things, but what are you showcasing is the most important. So that's the recap, really.
Yeah. And I will continue to give everyone the links that we do have a DIY video program which shows you all of the equipment that you need, how to build out your content strategy, where to upload it, how to use it with YouTube, and then also making sure that YouTube is separate from your Facebook. So just know that we're not leaving you dead in the water going, oh, but what do I do? We do have these other components, but I think it's really important that we understand, the importance around, the type of content that's going to, explode or get that engagement as well. Now, next we want to have a look at, now this may seem technical to some of you, but it's actually, Mark's going to be able to dumb it down, is Facebook Pixel. a lot of businesses are not using a Facebook pixel, which actually connects all of these, aspects to Facebook and to the rest of your business. So, Mark, can you share with us what a Facebook pixel is to start with?
A Facebook pixel is a piece of code that sits on your website. Okay, um, that's all what you need to know on what is the pixel.
Yeah.
But how does it work? Is it creates audiences. Um, so if you put this piece of code on your website, if you don't know how you put it, you pass it to a web developer, um, or the guy that take care of your website, um, and so once this code is placed on your website, it creates an audience of those who visit your website. So that's what the pixel is, and what it does. But then you'll be like, okay, so I put this piece of code on the website, and I've created an audience of those who visit the website. So how does it create audience? It doesn't ask them for any name or email or anything. It just it records their cookies or something like that. Um,
And
and
just for anyone who doesn't know, just what is a cookie? Other
yeah,
than something really yummy?
it's a file that sits on your computer, and it reminds the platform that you have been here before. Um, and then what it does, it creates an audience. Say 500 people visited this website in the last 30 days, but you don't know who they are, what their names or anything. You just have numbers. So what you can do is, if you created this waffle video, you have, if you know your way inside the advertising platform, you can retarget those people with this waffle video, with the advertising campaign. So that's what the pixel is.
And so it's really important. We would imagine that, you know, everyone's got a website. If you don't have a website, you need to get a website up. But what, if you're wanting any extra help, or, what kind of website you should be happening, of course, we're going to give you, you can always get in contact with Coterie Hospitality, because you don't have to have this full-blown website. We're just doing one, for another small burger bar, which is a one-pager. But you need to have that online presence of a website, because that's your mothership. If you are putting everything on your social channels, all you're doing is making everyone else more money. They are leased real estate. So you want to make sure that everything's going back to your website, your online, your searchable, component. You own that. So that's what Mark is saying, is making sure that Google has no idea what's going on your Facebook page. But if you are getting this traffic to your website, that's where that pixel is going to be able to tell you who it is that's coming to your business. So then you can start to, as he mentioned, do that retargeting, and the retargeting is going to be talking to the specific people, not everyone and anyone. So I guess, do you want to talk a little bit on the benefits of the pixel and how that shapes, you've got this crazy, you've done a really good video, how that shapes the benefit of the sales process for the customer to get inside your business, and this retargeting?
Number one, if someone been on the website, they've been thinking to visit the place, or they might have already booked in and been to the place.
Yeah.
Either way, the pixel will improve retention rate, and it will, using the pixel as part of the advertising, the audiences that you create out of that pixel. So yes, it improves retention rate. People been here before, now you advertise to them, use the pixel to create that audience, and you advertise to them certain things. It will improve that retention rate, and it will convince someone else that been thinking to come to the place that it's time to come in. It's time to come here now. And that works in a very powerful way. You can also do that with a pixel. You can also place that pixel on certain pages of the website. You can say, I only want to create a pixel based on people that visited my catering section on the website, my catering page, and then maybe you can retarget to them your catering related ad. If if um, if someone visited your functions page, you can create a pixel of those, an audience of those who only visited the functions page, and then remarket to them an ad that is relevant to your functions. Um, because if they were thinking about to book something and they were doing their research, and then all of a sudden they open up Facebook and your functions ad pops up, you have a higher percentage rate for them
Yeah.
to get in contact with you.
And that might be something like, we highly imagine that there are, lots of you out there that know about retargeting as well, because we talk to marketers and, everyone in that operational level of the business. But we want to make sure that you're utilising this pixel, because when you have a look at, I don't like to say cutting costs. I like to, look at things from a cost effective. So how can we get the most out of the money that we spend? And if you have a think about, and this is what is so amazing about retargeting, so amazing about this pixel, is that if you can work out exactly who the people are that you want to talk to, then you're not going to have to do a mass audience advertisement. And mass marketing is the most expensive way to advertise your business, because you're trying to service and please everyone, as opposed to going, right, here is my message, it's really clear. For example, you might have your waffles, and, well, the waffles aren't gluten-free. So you know that you've got your gluten-free people, and you're not going to advertise the waffles to the gluten-free, but you might find something that is gluten-free options to them, and then all of a sudden it is going to reduce, your marketing costs. It's going to reduce your marketing efforts. It's going to have, a higher conversion rate, because you're going to be talking specifically to the person that you're solving their problems and adding that value. So being able to get this data, like Mark is saying, about the pixel, and let the pixel do the work for you. Let it come back and do all this, work for you, because doing, data analysis is really, really time consuming. And it's also, for people like me, I'm not a data analysis person. I'm not a technical person, so it's really hard to work that stuff out. So if you have these elements that's going to make your life easier and help and give you that information, then you can start to structure better content as well.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly. So is there anything, I guess, if you're not a marketer listening to us right now, make sure you go to your web developer and get them to put the pixel on. Like, where are the components, where are the touch points, Mark, that you would recommend that they follow up with their web developer or someone that's looking after their social media or digital marketing?
Well, that's the thing with most social media people. They have no idea about this pixel. Most of them, they just put up pretty photos.
Yeah.
For their clients, and somehow this is sufficient. So if you do have a social media person, and if they don't understand the pixel and how the pixel work and how they can make it work for your business,
then they're going to need to reach out to, which is obviously...
Well, they will need to look into their someone else that do understand that technology and how they can make it work to their best interest. Web developers, not necessarily that understand how to get that pixel from Facebook. They know how, if you give them the code, they know where to put it on the website. So you just need to find out how to get that pixel out of your advertising platform. But if you open it up, it should be inside audiences in your ad manager.
Kind of like searching for that. So audiences in Ad Manager, you will find the pixel. Of course, everyone, if you've got any further questions, this is the stuff that we do, but we understand that you will have some stuff in place as well. So we want to give you kind of those touch points for you to go back to the people that are providing that already. If not, you can always come to us. So let's have a look at advertising now. So I see time and time again, and you mentioned this earlier on, I see time and time again that people kind of get seduced by the idea of advertising, and that be there's the boost button on the sorry what is it when you if you're looking at me on the right hand side of the bottom of the post, there's the boost button. But it is not that simple, and people think I'm going to put $10 or I'm going to put $15 behind it and think that they're going to get some results. You are saying that Facebook is better than it's ever been.
Yes.
Advertising is absolutely amazing, but
Yes.
yet everyone out there is going, my Facebook is shit, advertising is shit, it doesn't do anything for us. So take us through what the bridge of that, the bridge to gap, sorry, the gap, how to bridge the gap of perception that people think that everything is just changed and, Facebook's working against us now.
All right. Well, let's use common sense. Facebook has millions of people use it. Nearly a billion of people plus now uses Facebook on daily basis. So in Melbourne, there's hundreds of thousands of people who use Facebook. What it means that we can come to Facebook and say, hey, Facebook, I'll give you money, you give me exposure, you give me eyeballs. Okay, so what's so complicated about this? Nothing. I give Facebook money, Facebook will give me back audience, eyeballs. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not rocket science. But the rocket science is, um, what are you pushing to those people? What are you showcasing to them? If what you're showcasing to them is boring, nothing new, um, and you have nothing to say other than trying to push that 10 years old pizza,
Or
you,
buy now.
or 15 years old menu, or
Yeah.
buy now, or whatever it is, it's just so boring. Like, go and eat out there, see what are the options out there, what's exciting those people, and then go back and think, how can you create a little bit more excitement with your advertising on Facebook. Facebook does work. If it's not working for you, it doesn't mean that it's not working for everyone else. It's just not
Yeah.
working for you because you don't know how to drive it. How about if
Yeah.
you try to put more effort into it, you know?
And
Um,
if we have,
yes.
sorry, I just,
No, no,
go
go.
on.
Go. What you wanted to say something?
Oh, oh, it's right. When everyone gets so excited, it's kind of like my turn. And no, I was just going to say, on that note, is there anything around actual advertising? Because we're not going to get too technical at the moment because sometimes, for all of you, because sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming, but we want you to still believe and understand that Facebook advertising is something that you should be investing in. But I think when we start to connect retargeting, knowing who your customer is, getting the shape and color understanding of your community, of your target customer, then all of a sudden your pixel's going to come into this. All of a sudden your engagement's going to change because you're going to be talking direct to the people who want to see this piece of information or who want to engage with your business. And kind of a little bit of an outside of the box example I've got is that if you've got someone that's gone and done an email blast and they're going in and doing, this campaign on golf, and not everyone plays golf. And then they're going and putting this campaign out that, I will do it on a hairdressing salon. But the female hairdressing package, and you've got males on the database, it's like, you might be thinking, well, that's a little bit, far-fetched from this example. But if you're not talking specific to the person who's got the problem who has the need that needs to be filled, then your advertising is not going to work. And if you're doing a millennial campaign to an audience of seniors, it's not going to work. So Mark is saying that this stuff does work, but you just need to make sure that you're getting this information, right about your customers. So using target audiences, using the Facebook pixel, doing that research, right, Mark, to get more specific information.
Yeah.
And would you then
The
say
other
then,
the other
how
thing
this all plays into
the
it?
other thing, speaking of databases, if you do have a database, um, what you can do is you can download your database from Mailchimp or from any email marketing software or booking software that you use, and you can upload list to your audiences inside Facebook, um, and then you can remarket to those people through your advertising, instead of sending them emails. If you think that you don't know how to drive your emails or how to make your emails more exciting, or if you don't know how to write exciting emails, but you know how to cook amazing dishes, maybe then try to upload that database to Facebook and remarket to them your advertising campaigns. So that could be another option.
Yeah, and that's the really important part of everyone. If you've got Facebook, it is a database. If you've got, 450 followers or you've got 25,000 followers, it's definitely a database of people. But you need to be able to get back in contact with them. So you need to be able to have specific information. So it's so important with everything that you're doing, you're still getting name, phone number, not so much phone number, but email address. But as Mark was saying, if you don't have an email marketing strategy, or you don't find that your email marketing strategy is getting the cut through because someone's got 4,000 emails in their inbox, then export that data into Facebook. And what it will do is the system will just naturally retarget and get in front of them. But you cannot do it unless you have these emails. And we know in hospitality that so many venues do pre-booking, or you need to have your information to actually make a booking. This is low-hanging fruit. I have written a couple of blogs and I talk about this all of the time. This information is an asset to your business. You need to get that information of these people. But I love that Mark's gone, and you can use this back into Facebook by importing it to then retarget. And it's a very soft way of getting back in front of people as well.
The thing is, today is Facebook advertising and Facebook marketing is a must. It's not an option.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it's an option. It's a must. Like years back, people used newspaper, yellow pages, flyers, and all that sort of stuff. And some restaurants, they had this budget on a yearly basis. This is how much we're allocating for print, for advertising, for this and that. But until today, those same places, they go and invest their money in the wrong places. There is a lot of mediums that don't work anymore. They do not work anymore, but they still go and pay the money, and they get nothing out of it, instead of going into what is working today, which is Facebook advertising.
But also saying that is because they're not doing the measurement. So, everything that you do, you have to measure whether the effective. It's testing is the one thing that we have to be very open to, making decisions, testing things, and they don't work.
Okay,
but if you measure...
Can I get involved in here for a second?
Yeah, sure.
Measuring means a lot of places be like, oh, I don't know how to measure this. We don't have a technology to measure. Again, let's simplify this. If you're doing $20,000-$30,000 a week, weekly takings, for example, and your average is 25,000 or 35,000, whatever the average is. If you do an advertising campaign and your average has not increased one bit after you started this advertising campaign, you just don't need to sit there and say, oh, I got one customer out of this week or this month. It's just not working. If your average takings has not improved dramatically out of an advertising campaign, which is what it's meant to do, it's just not working. Don't sit there and count 1 and 2 customers. This is not what you're doing the campaign for. You're doing advertising to cause at least a bit of a change or an improvement that you can actually see and touch in a tangible way. Otherwise, it's just not working. That's as simple as it is.
But they, and that's a very, very good point. But you will know if it's working or not working because you're measuring it. So you need to you always have to be very, very mindful of whether there is that return. Whatever the return is, it's not always going to be a financial return, because some people, they're not looking for more money. They're looking for more foot traffic, or they're not looking for more profit. They're needing to have an increase in cash flow. So whatever your objective is, you need to be measuring to see whether you are hitting that. And so many businesses just do not measure. And
Yes, exactly.
therefore, there's so many things that can either be tweaked or, these gaps that they don't know that they have, and they're just wasting money.
Yes. Um,
Yeah. So you would definitely, so we say that Facebook advertising is definitely still there. Connect your pixel with, to get those audiences or start to collect that data.
yes, and assign a budget to your advertising. Pixels, audiences, they're nothing if you don't have an advertising budget.
And what would be a healthy advertising budget? Because, people are still doing boost $10, boost
Look,
$25.
we,
What
we need
kind of,
we need to
for
be
the results?
again need to be reasonable and use common sense. If you have a 30-seater restaurant or cafe, you know, um, it's going to require a smaller budget than a 200-seater restaurant or a cafe. Depend on the size of the restaurant and how much business you're wanting out of it. A 30-seater might uh, get great results out of perhaps $200 a week, or
Mm-hmm.
um, um, another place that has a 100-seater plus might need double the budget, maybe $400 a week. um, but then again, what you advertise is to simplify it, and if what you're advertising is really exciting and interesting, $200 a week might even be more than enough for a 100-seater plus.
Yeah, sure.
Because your advertising becomes less, and the cost of the advertising will cost you less to reach to more people. That's how Facebook works. The more exciting the stuff that you're pushing to their audience, the less they charge you to reach to their audience. If
Yes.
it's boring and you're pushing up boring stuff and you're trying to boost it, they will charge you a lot more because
Mm-hmm.
not many people are interacting with it. So that's how it works.
And it kind of like, in some respects it makes sense, but you've got to know Mark Zuckerberg's game
Yeah,
and play with it and just understand that they are there to help you, but as long as you work within the boundaries of what they want them. And, it's kind of that partnership. They want you to bring more people. They want you to have exciting, content on their platform. And then in turn, they will help you to do that as well. But you need to know how to do it. Otherwise, that's why we have partners at Coterie that do this stuff, because, the really technical stuff on social media, that's not my skill set. My skill set is building out really exciting campaigns.
exactly.
But I can definitely vouch for when you have people around you that know how to do it, then, it does definitely work for you. And it's got a higher conversion rate than going and doing newspaper, TV or radio advertising. You do have a much higher conversion rate through using social media. So is there anything that you want to recap on the advertising, Mark?
Um, well, have a budget. Advertising on Facebook today is a must. Um, uh, if there was one thing that you should focus on is your content, the idea of what you want to advertise. This is what's going to get you to what you want out of social media. Social media is not going to get you anywhere unless you actually feed it the right stuff. You feed
Mm-hmm.
social media the right stuff, advertising will work for you, your budget will work for you, and you will feel that you are satisfied out of these efforts and out of this budget.
Sure. And also, the really cool bit that Mark shared with you is your information that you have on your database. So whether it be your point of sale system, your booking system, your email list within your business, if you already have this information, get it and put it into your Facebook audiences so you can do some retargeting.
Yeah,
If you do not have it, hop, skip and jump and start to get as much information that you can from people in order to do it, because you are just missing the low-hanging fruit.
exactly.
Yeah. All right. Now, because this is a recording, what we're going to do is say, have a breather, go away, get a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever you need to do, have a little bit of a toilet break. And then we will be going into the straight into Instagram. All right, Mark. So we're going to have a look now at Instagram. So we've had a look at Facebook, and we now know that Facebook owns Instagram,
Yeah.
and that's partly why I guess Instagram has changed its, nature and behavior, because Facebook are trying to very much, keep those two platforms working together and working separately as well. So can we do a little bit of a recap on Instagram in the last 6 years that you've seen changes, and have you seen any change recently that has been because of Facebook, I'd say?
Yeah. Well, um, here is the what changed with Instagram. Um, Instagram as a platform or as a reach, same like Facebook back in 2010 and 11, 2011 and 12.
Who even knows what year it is now?
Yeah, I mean, we used to get massive exposure on Facebook until that we had to pay now.
Yeah.
Um, and this is what's happening with Instagram today. They killed your reach. So Instagram reach is dead. Not Instagram. The Instagram reach is dead. Um, Before you used to reach up to between 60 to 70% of your people on Instagram when you post. Today you're lucky if you reach 10%. But there is a workaround around this. Um, and the workaround is, uh, which I will get to in a minute. The other stuff that has changed is the hashtags. So hashtags on Instagram, everyone told you use 30 hashtags, put it in the comment section, put it here, do this, do that. That's all good. That used to work, and it still works, but to a extent. Now Facebook is reducing the reach of the hashtags, and
Hmm.
sometimes they might kill the reach for the hashtags for certain accounts if they think the account doesn't have anything to say and it's pretty much boring. They'll kill your hashtags. Even if you use 30 hashtags, you'll get like one or two likes to your post. It's crazy, and it's
So have
happening.
you actually seen, because I haven't seen that happen, and I will talk from experience with the Coterie Instagram account, that hashtags are really good for us, and we get a lot of, because we're getting our hashtags right, we're getting a lot of specific hospitality businesses, which I love. And it's really nice when you go, oh, there's a new restaurant, there's a cafe that, that follow us. So I guess because we're putting out, good content, it still has that reach. But you've actually seen, some of the
Yeah, yeah.
low results from hashtags.
Yeah, so they're doing they it's a lot more complicated than what you see and what you think. If you're
Yeah,
only looking at one or two accounts, then you might not see what we see because we work with so many different accounts.
of
We work
course,
with
yeah.
large numbers, and we can see that Facebook or Instagram takes accounts into a process. If it's a new account, they'll kill the reach dramatically. Even if you use all the hashtags, you post in the right timing and everything, it does not mean anything to them. They'll just kill your reach until sometimes they might transition you, and you might start getting this exposure through your hashtags, and you start getting some likes and some exposure. But even then, it's not as it used to be anymore. Um, so the good thing is, uh, because they they like video on Facebook, they're also liking video on Instagram, and they want to push video. So if you push video on your Instagram account, you'll find that um, you'll get sometimes between 50 to 70% reach with your video, much higher reach percentage than an image. So try to integrate the video content into your Instagram marketing. Um, and maybe should we talk about the influencers side of things, Carrie, now?
Well, I think it's important to just to touch on with video is that, it still can be a little bit overwhelming if we're pushing you to start to do it. And again, we've got these step-by-step instructions that are going to give you some support to do that and kind of unlock this creative vision and belief on how you can actually do it yourself. But remembering with Instagram, it's a 60-second video. So that's super, super, super snackable. So it's a 60-second video where the silver lining to that is you don't have to come up with this really, really big, concept and Hollywood concept. On Instagram, what you can be doing is literally you've got a dish which is on the hot plates in the kitchen, and you could just do a 8, 10, 15-second video of that being cooked. How hard is that to do that? It's like it makes it so much more achievable to do that. Or you've also got now your Instagram stories, which is trying to compete with Snapchat, where you can start to do these bite-sized story within the 24 hours, which again can integrate photos, still images, but it comes through as a video. Do you want to add to that at all, Mark?
Yeah, well, if you're uploading the video on your on Instagram, may as well put it up on your stories. And sometimes stories won't upload anything older than 24 hours. So what you can do is put up something on your put up the video on Instagram, filter it using the video filters, and then what it does, Instagram will create a new video on your phone. Okay, it will, in your phone library, video library, you will see a new video when you post that video on Instagram. But you must use a filter, a video filter, to create that new video file. So even if the video was old, but you wanted to put that on your stories,
tricking the system.
yeah, and so you can create the video, filter it on Instagram, post it and publish it, and then go to stories. Once you go to stories and you open up your library, you'll see that video you just posted now on Instagram. It's in your phone video library. You can pick it and post it in your stories.
And that's also the really important part that we want to touch on as well, that you don't have to come up with more and more new content every single day. There is such a thing called repurposing your content. But as Mark's saying is, your audience don't want to just see the same thing circling through. But if you change it, 10% and just make these alterations, then it's still going to keep that reinforcement and then also make it interesting because it's going to be slightly different.
They just need to be very careful with the repetitive stuff. It doesn't mean a campaign that worked last month that they should do it again this month. That is very critical in the advertising world, that a new stuff should be happening all the time. If a successful campaign, a successful video happened last month, don't stop it. Keep it going until it stops getting interaction, or until it stops getting results. Then you stop and you move on to another thing. And you know what? If you pull off a campaign and it's been 2 months that I've been advertising it and boosting it or whatever, and you've been doing this for 2 months consistently on a daily basis, and it's still working, don't even think of stopping it. Just keep it running until it stops working. But don't think of, you had this campaign working last month, and let's do it again this month, put the video up and advertise it again. That's not how it works.
Yeah. So, but also being able to repurpose your content there's a bit of a split between what Mark is saying, that you can use your images again, you can use that video again, but way. Just make in a new way. So that's what we mean by repurposing and not feeling like you've got to come up with all of this content all again. So just to have a look, that Mark is saying that video is definitely, Instagram has changed because Instagram is forcing your creative hand. So make you interested. So they are making it hard for you. But if you are interesting, if you do work within the boundaries of what they want, which is creativity, which is information, which is value and video,
Yeah.
then you're going to get more out of your organic reach. You're going to get more out of, and hashtags is organic reach as well. So you just need to make sure that you have that strategy and that you definitely, making it interesting for the audience, because otherwise Instagram are going to make it difficult for you. And I kind of, as much as it's like, come on, throw me a bone here, as a creative marketer, I think that that's a good push to do, because I think that, we need to be out, push to be more creative and more interesting. So I guess then now we have a look at how do we not sit in this area of everything is so hard and I'm constantly trying to, run uphill, that you wanted to talk to us about influencers, Mark.
Yes. So influencers, after the new algorithm through Instagram, a lot of influencers account that been hit badly um, out of this algorithm, and their reach has decreased dramatically. So they don't reach much people as they used to. They
Mm-hmm.
don't get much interaction as they used to, and therefore it's useless to you to be on their accounts unless there is no cost to you. If there is no cost to you, why not? You can more than happy to be mentioned on XYZ account as long as they're not charging you. But if they are charging you, you want to make sure they tick the boxes, that
Mm-hmm.
they still getting massive interaction on their Instagram account compared to the ratio that of the amount of people following them. They still get at least 30 to 60 comments or 60 plus comments and more on their Instagram account, on their posts. Any account that gets 30 plus comments on their post and 60 plus comments, 90 plus comments, that's a good influencer to be on. Um, if they're getting 5,000 likes, but they're not getting any comments at all, that's not good too. You need to see comments and you need to see likes and then need to tick those boxes for you.
For to quantify as an influencer, is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
yes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if they're not getting any engagement, any comments, and people tagging each other and creating a massive conversation on their account, we don't believe in them. We don't believe in it as an influencer account.
And can you explain to everyone, like, in the hospitality industry, what would qualify as an influencer?
Well, uh, anybody with maybe at least um 40 plus 40,000 or 60,000 plus followers. Um, the comments need to be at least 30 plus comments. They need to get on their posts. Likes, we don't really look much into likes. It's the massive for us is the amount of audience that they're following them, and the
Mm-hmm.
amounts of comments, because we know that comments are real, and you can't get 30 60 comments, fake comments. But we also highly recommend you to go through the comments and read through the comments, just to get the genuine feel of the account. And if you feel comfortable with it, that's how you know you should do something with them. Yeah, but if you come through a 40,000 followers account and they're getting 5 6 comments on every post, um, that's not good.
Because sometimes those followers can be bought as well. But I think it's important to share with people, like, what is an influencer, that's relative to them. So is it food blogger? Is it like what types? Because they might be, I would imagine people going, okay, but so can you kind of direct
Well,
us into
again, we
what
use common
type of
sense. If you're,
influencers they would look for?
it's a common sense. If you're a cafe business, you would go and look up the cafe or a breakfast. Sorry, a cafe or a breakfast focused Instagram accounts. If you're a restaurant, you might look into the foodies kind of accounts. Um, and if you're a hotel, you might look into the lifestyle accounts. Um, at the same time, um, if you do something with them, make sure that it breaks the pattern of what everyone else is putting up on their accounts. You know, if everyone else is doing waffles on that breakfast influencer account, why should you do a waffle? Why don't you do something else that breaks that pattern? So think of your strategy. Don't just think I'm just going to invite XYZ to come and do something with me. Think of your strategy as well. They're not going to think it for you most of the time. The other thing that you should take into consideration is the time that you invite them in. If you're a restaurant, and most restaurants are open at night, but if you are open at lunch sometimes of the week, even if it's on the weekend, uh, invite them on the lunchtime and then cook them a dinner dish or whatever you want to cook them, just so that they capture the dish into the natural light kind of environment where the light is still out. If you invite them in at dinner and they do come in at night and they take photos, the photos will look pretty bad. So it doesn't really represent your business. Just keep those few things in mind.
So you are suggesting that if it is an influencer, it's someone that needs to come into your venue, or can you provide them with
Well,
your
most of the time they'll
images?
come in.
Yeah.
Most of the time they will come in. They will want to come in, and you want to provide them dinner or whatever it is uh, to capture.
So you wouldn't recommend that if you've got, like if a business has a photographer, that you could go, we will provide you with the image, but we want you to come in so you can understand,
If they're, it
you know,
depends on their terms and conditions. If they're happy with it, or if they,
sure.
yeah, depends if they want to work with it. The the thing is, you need to make sure that the image does represent the style of the blogger. If the image been taken in a way that their audience know it is not their image, then it's not authentic. It doesn't feel authentic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And I think that's a really good point,
Yeah.
is that it's still about having that authenticity, not going, I'm going to use your page for an advertising,
Yeah. Needs to look.
a feature
It needs to
space.
look native content, piece of content.
Native content,
Yeah.
yeah. So can you give our trusty students three key research ideas to find the right influencer?
Well, you use the hashtags that are relevant to your business. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're a cafe, you will do in Melbourne cafes is a hashtag. Use that as a hashtag and as a research tool to see which bloggers
In
are
the
you.
local, so you're suggesting for the local
Yeah,
area marketing.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then use it to find out uh, Melbourne cafes or even Dubai cafes. I don't know wherever the city you are in, and then find out which influencers are posting about which cafes,
Mm-hmm.
or even go to popular cafes in your city, popular cafes Instagram accounts, and go and click on the section where you can see where everyone else has tagged them in, and you can see which bloggers have been to that place, and then you can consider inviting them in. But first, they need to tick the box that they're getting great engagement and they have a massive audience.
And I think, because I'm not one for saying that there's competition in hospitality. I don't think that there is because, if I had five of the same restaurants, let's say, next to each other, the same street, I could absolutely market all of them successfully because all of them would have a different product offering, a different culture, different experience, and the
Different
like, different
audience.
brand
Different
voice.
audience.
Yeah, and
Different.
so
Unless
there's
unless
nothing.
they're not all Italian.
No, still, you could have five. Test me on it. I could do it. But it's
I
really
know. I'm just
important.
kidding.
It's really important to allow yourself to do the research, and you might be, a restaurant in Lower Manhattan that's seeing some really exciting stuff that's going on in Melbourne and following stuff that's going on around the country, emulating yourself on things that are going on in different countries or within the same, city that you have. And doing your research and searching on YouTube, what are some of the videos that are really highly shareable that you can start to get some ideas as well. We're here as one community. So what Mark is saying is having a look at what are some of the influences that are supporting our community, wanting to help hospitality businesses, and have a look at who else, or even ask your neighbours, who are some of the influences that you work with. As well, but research is really important with that. So thanks for touching on that Mark, and having a look at your hashtags. Now let's wrap it up with having a look at advertising on Instagram. I think that that's still we know, and I know that you definitely do advertising with hospitality, but it's still a little bit of an untouched area with Instagram advertising. So is it worth advertising on Instagram?
The only way to know is actually to do it first. We found that it works for some and it doesn't work for some. We do find that Instagram works the best for cafes, Instagram advertising. Um, that's kind of from our kind of testing, but please don't stop here. You should test and find out if it works for your business or not. You can also, speaking of audiences before, you can target your website visitors on Instagram. You can also target your Facebook fans, people that follow you on Facebook, on Instagram. And you can also target your locals on Instagram through the advertising platform. So, well, what we think of the Instagram advertising is it is exposure. It is repeating the message and the brand and your business on their minds on different platforms. Therefore, you are present at all times at the same time, which is very, very, very important to get this person do that one move to come into your restaurant. We still believe that Instagram advertising is very important as part of the overall exposure strategy.
Yeah, and I think that you connected a couple of really important dots. Is everyone remember Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company?
Yes.
So therefore, whatever you're doing on Facebook, it will have that they're sisters. I would assume that they're sisters, maybe they're brothers, but they're a sister company to Instagram. So you want to be able to have both of them talking together, but don't fall into the trap of going, oh, I'm going to put everything on Facebook, the same on Instagram. You've got to give them different experiences.
Yes.
Definitely need to give them different experiences. But what I love with what you're saying, Mark, is the low-hanging fruit that is sitting on your Facebook account, or vice versa. What's going on Instagram, get them over to Facebook. So do you have a couple of tips, one or two tips on the advertising with Instagram that you might be able to share? You may have already touched on it.
Well, the last tip that I would like to share on Instagram is now that you can and they just released a new feature where you can create an audience out of those people who interacted with your Instagram account in the last 90 days or 365 days. Instagram will create Facebook will create an audience of those people who interacted with your Instagram account, and then you can remarket to them your advertising campaigns. So that's another strategy.
Yeah, and that's it's just it's just about getting the two to get together. And again, like, I can't tell you if you are focused or not focused, if you're concerned on cutting costs, getting more out of your marketing efforts, you have to know who your customer is You have to know who they are. You need to get information about them. And we're talking about information that is specific information, shape and color on their likes, their interests. So therefore, you can start to build these audiences and get more out of your campaign, get more out of the dollars that you're putting, behind this. But it does take a little bit of work to have it happening. But once you kind of get that momentum, then you've just got rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. All right. So that's really good. Mark's saying still do your Instagram advertising, but working out how you can start to work with Facebook, but maybe give it a little bit of a test if you haven't done it yet already. So what would be the average amount that you would imagine that people, should spend on Instagram advertising?
Maybe around $100 a week.
$100 a week.
Yeah, but again, it depends on the size of the business. Yeah.
Sure.
So first, we usually examine the business to find out how big it is and what they want out of it, and then we can assign a budget. And therefore, that's why we never speak of budgets, because now that we said $100, someone with a 200-seater might go and do something with $100 a week. They just don't, some of them, they don't look into common sense. As long as you're using common sense, and what would you get, 200-seater for $100. If your average spend is $50, you need 2 customers and you got that.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you spend more than $100 a week? If you know that $100, even if it got you 2 people in, then you got it covered. It depends on the average spend per customer. There's a lot of variables that needs to play, but that's let's keep it at $100 a week as a test.
$100 a week. And the other thing, everyone, that when Mark and I are working, or we're working together with clients, is that we might look at it for a month and say, for example, with your advertising in total is $1,000 budget, and some people go, oh my gosh, it's $1,000. But if you want to work out how can you safely go into your advertising, work out how many drinks and how many meals do you need to sell to make the money back. That is ultimately what you need to think about.
Let me add one more thing. When you say $100 a week or $200 a week or $400 a week, I'm talking about per campaign.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're doing, you have functions event, and you have functions advertisement, you have catering advertisement, you have dinner advertisement, and if you're also open for breakfast, you would want a breakfast advertisement, and if you're open for lunch, you would want a lunch relevant advertisement, and you're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different campaigns. So you can't have all these campaigns hooked up to that $100. Every single campaign and needs a certain budget on that through that week. So don't think that, oh, I'm spending $200 a week, but I'm going to do 5 campaigns or 10 campaigns. That's not how it works.
Yeah. And I think that that's a very good point, is saying that is per campaign. Well, we have come to the end of our Gold Nugget strategy session. We very much hope that you have, you've got some takeaways to go to your business, making sure that if you have people that are looking after your website, that are doing your social media for you, or if it is in-house, and we're hoping that it is in-house because that's who we typically work with at Coterie, is that making sure that you just have these components, in place, getting your content strategy in place, integrating video into your marketing strategy, having, the right elements and the rules with advertising to make sure that it works for you, and just understanding what Mark Zuckerberg is doing, of why the changes have taken place, and how you can start to work with him as well. Or them. So, Mark, thank you so much for letting us extract all of this good stuff out of your brilliant social media mind. Is there anything that you want to do a recap on, or anything?
Well, one thing, focus on the content. Put all the technical strategies on the side. Focus on the creative content and the creative input. That's what's going to make it a whole lot more
Because
successful.
it's got to be interesting. It's got to be
Yeah.
interesting. It's got to be engaging. It's got to solve problems. Has to be educational as well and
Yes,
entertaining.
exciting.
So
Yeah.
they are the key things. Now, everyone, we are giving you for watching this strategy session. We are going to give you a content calendar template for you to use that you can replicate on all your different channels. It is a 30-day content calendar template that allows you to map things out and working out, is it Facebook, is it Instagram, is it YouTube, is it our blog, Snapchat, so on. And you have your core questions in going, what are we trying to achieve? And just follow that content planner. And we want to say that with a content planner, it doesn't give you any excuses to not be planning in advance. So that's our little freebie giveaway for you guys. And if you have any questions with anything that we've spoken about in here, we do all of this at Coterie, so we are here as a support arm to you. If not, go back to the people that you already have in place. But we will be running many strategy sessions with Coterie TV, and so stay tuned, stay with us, because we are here to give you loads and loads of gold nuggets. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much, Mark. And
Thank you, Carrie.
we look forward to seeing you on the next session of Coterie TV. I'm Carrie, and we'll see you soon.